Hello everybody and welcome back to KSP2, where we are approximately in position for this burn at this point. And this is actually my second attempt at doing this. The first time we got into position and I warped forward and I was like, hang on a moment, this is definitely not the correct position. I went into our tin can here and I clicked the control from here button and it went to a completely different position. I don't know why, but apparently we weren't controlling from the tin can. I don't know what we were controlling from that would be in a different orientation. I'm guessing it was a bug, so I reverted back on the save to this point, and I did it again after clicking on control from here on the tin can. There is not an object here that would be in a different orientation. There isn't an object here that we can control from either, other than the tin can. So I don't know what's going on with that. Let's warp forward and see if it does it again. Okay, so we're going to warp forward here. Okay, so you can see that this burn position is pointing down towards Kerbal, kind of. It's also pointing fairly retrograde, and I'm wondering what exactly is going on with this. Okay, yeah, this is the wrong position again. I moved this here, and it disappeared. So it's not to do with the control point. I believe it to be due to the maneuver node. Now, we're too close at this point to actually turn to the maneuver node in time without some gimbaling. So that's definitely a thing. I think we're experiencing a bug here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to revert this back yet again. And I'm going to do a quick test here. I want to figure out what exactly is going on here. So the autosave here is not the correct one. I want to go back to this autosave, or rather the save that I made after the last episode. So we can see right now, and this is going to be a tedious process that I'm not going to make you sit through, but we can see right now that we're heading over towards our point, and I want to just update this a little bit. Okay, now our point is right here, rather than way down over on the horizon by the prograde marker. Okay, so this is going to make things a lot easier, with our point being right here. We can just warp forward without actually having to cut this out. So that's definitely a bug then. 100% that is a bug. Interesting. But we warp forward to here. Yep, this is now basically at the prograde marker. So this is now at the correct position. So I previously thought it was related to the control point. It seems to actually be related to the maneuver, and updating the control point once we got here must have updated the maneuver as well. So that's interesting because updating the control point did not update the maneuver before we were close to the maneuver. So that's interesting behavior to be sure, but we don't need to do a big turn here, which is convenient. We're very happy about that. And I was actually thinking about bringing this back to Kerbal and just aborting this flight because I wanted to go back to the concept of the rendezvous orbiter and maintaining some of this fuel. I decided not to do that because we don't yet know exactly how much fuel we'll have left over when we get there. That'll be an interesting thing to find out. So for now, we're just going to start this burn in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay. Definitely interesting that the maneuver node was broken there. I'm not sure what happened, but I guess we'll keep an eye on that in the future. That's fine. We can definitely do that. So we're going to have a little bit under 1 kilometer per second left in this first stage once we do this, and we'll use that, of course, for inclination change and for Hohmann transfer over to Jool. Maybe a circularization. We probably are going to want a circularization as I think about it. Yeah, probably will. So this is going to be about another 2 minutes of burn time here to get the amount of DV that we want to escape here. This is going to be a pretty high apoapsis. No doubt about it. It's almost halfway out. It's a little over, I think, halfway out to dress. So that'll be fine. We are, of course, not going to dress. No one goes to dress. We'll eventually go to dress. We don't currently have a mission to go to dress, though. and we don't have a reason to at this moment. We're just trying to fill out our tech tree and get that all good to go. Cool. So we've still got about 2 minutes in this burn. Let's just accelerate through it a little bit. Now we've got about 1 minute left in the burn. Hang on. We just went into auto ground mode. That's weird. We're not impacting the ground. We are definitely escaping here. We've got about 30 seconds left in this burn, and we can see our burn pushing right on out with that apoapsis. So that looks good. I'm bringing it up to about 10x. Okay, back down to 1x. 3, 2, 1, mark. As expected, about 1 kilometer per second of DV, a little under. And at this point, we want to escape from Kerbal. So, let's just warp it out to here. Goodbye, Kerbal. It's been fun. We will be back to Kerbal. But off goes Jeb on another long, lonely voyage. I'm sure he'll be fine. He doesn't have any psychological trauma from this at all. Okay, so we are going to set Jool as our target. So we need to come in here and set Jool as our target. There we go. Next, what we need to do is get our inclination changed. So that's going to be, this is our periapsis here, ascending node here. So it's going to be about here. We'll want to create a maneuver plan, and we'll want to bring up our, yeah, this is the correct direction. Just change our inclination 1.3 degrees. Cool. That's not too bad. That is a mere 117 meters per second. Sounds good. We'll align to that, and we'll, of course, be turning a little bit faster at this point because we did burn off a lot of fuel weight. So our turning is going to get faster and faster over time. This is still not very fast. I can't help but notice. So there is that. I'm wondering about our angling of our solar panels. Okay, we're going to need to change this. Note how much control authority on rotation we have. It's kind of insane how much rotation authority control we have when we compare it to how much turn rotation authority we have. Just goes to show that those reaction wheels, they're doing things. Okay, I'm just going to position us about like this for solar panel purposes. Yeah, our solar panels are occluded a little bit, but that's fine. Hi, Kerbal. We're leaving. We're out of the sphere of influence of Kerbal. I'm a little surprised we can even see it still. But we're turning on over here, and we're just slowly oscillating. Yeah, it's going to take us a little bit to get there. But this is about twice as fast as we were turning previously. So we're doing pretty well on that front. It's going to go about twice as fast again once this stage is gone. So we should be maneuvering pretty well once we're just on our interplanetary transfer stage. So that's looking good, all things considered. I like it. At this point, of course, we're still turning. But we've got 310 days to do it. I'm really not very concerned about this. Electric charge is currently going up. I am a little bit concerned about electric charge once we get out to Jool. We'll see how that goes. But for now, of course, this is fine. So Jeb has been out here for 2 days, and he is a very experienced interplanetary Kerbonaut at this point. No doubt about that. Our solar panels are doing fine. We have our electric charge going up. That is great. I'm definitely a little concerned about electric charge once we get out to the Jool system, but we'll see how that goes. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit problematic, but it should be fine once we're done with our interplanetary transfer stage. But we've got like 5K, maybe like 6K Delta V before then. Something like that. It's a lot of Delta V. So we're over halfway turned here to our inclination change, and that is looking pretty solid. We're turning faster. I'm not going to call it acceptably fast. It is certainly in the category of faster. That's for sure. So over we go. Very, very slowly. But at this point, we're turning, I would say that this is probably like 4 times as fast as we were on our first orbital burn. So that's, you know, progress. Definite progress there. I like it. And we're still on our first stage here. Like, this is stage number 1. I don't think it's technically that, but, you know, this engine started burning on the pad. Objectively. So there is that. We're going to continue to warp forward as soon as we are in position here. We're very, very close to having a full turn. I like it. I'm also wondering if we're going to have enough Delta V to land on this engine, and if we do, just how top-heavy are we going to be? I don't think that would be very stable. I don't know if we'd have the thrust to weight to do it anyway. Well, let's warp on forward for now, because we need to warp forward for a while. Excellent. So we're going to position ourselves about here. We're 4 hours away from our target burn. Let's warp forward a little further. 2 minutes and 20 seconds is much better. And let's just warp forward that extra little bit. So this is going to be 117 meters per second. We're not going to burn out this first stage yet. That's going to be done probably in the circularization burn, if I had to guess. But let's commence this burn now. Wonderful. So our inclination change is going to be absolutely fine here. We are basically in the same inclination as Jool as of now. I think I overshot that a little bit, but it should be good enough. Might be like 0.1 degrees off. No, 0.0. Okay, I like it. So now we're going to go up to the apoapsis and circularize to make it easier to head out to Jool. Now, this is Elu here. This is Jool, which is quite circular. So let's just circularize this on up. Okay, that's definitely going to be a fair amount of DV to do, but we need to do it. So circularizing it about like that should be reasonably close. Yeah, that's good enough. So this is 1,364 meters per second. We can burn a little bit over half of that on this first stage. I like it. That's very solid. We're going to need to turn, unfortunately, and that turn is going to take a little while. It's going to be slightly faster than the last turn, and it's going to be the same amount of distance, even though we're not... we might actually be going to the same point. It's going to take a little while, though, and I'm not going to make you sit through another one of these incredibly painfully slow turns. So, I will see you guys after this turn is complete. Okay, so here we are about in position for this warp, and let's warp on forward here. Excellent. So, we're moving forward about another 3 hours. Definitely doing that. There we go. Cool. About 2.5 minutes. That's much better. So this is, of course, our circularization burn, and this is going to get rid of that first stage at long last. And in theory, that should be our last extremely slow turn. Things will be much, much better from here. So we've got about 30 seconds left. 20, 10, and 3. No, now 3, 2, 1, mark. And off we go. Excellent. Looks like we weren't quite in position for it, but the gimbaling got us there nice and quickly. So we're going to be burning out this stage fairly soon. Let's just warp forward on 10x for right now. It'll automatically de-warp once we get to a position, approaching partially out of fuel orbital event. So that's fine. It appears to be actually percentage-based, not DV-based, so that's intriguing. Or maybe it's time-based? Regardless, we're going to be ditching this first stage very soon. It brought us a very long ways, so that's excellent. It is now burnt out, and let's go on the next stage. Beautiful. So yeah, this is going to be about another 5k DV, so that's understood. I'm a little concerned about how much DV we'll have coming back again, because we didn't really extend that. But I'm assuming that our easier landing on pole will make things a lot better. Maybe that's a bad assumption, but that is the current assumption. So let's just make our way through here. It's going to be about another 3.5 minutes on this burn. Let's definitely take it up to like 10x warp. That'll be fine. This is a very good feature of KSP2, by the way. The fact that you can warp fairly quickly while under power is really nice. One of the few good features in KSP2, I'm afraid, but here we are. So we've got about 1 minute left. Excellent. 30 seconds. 20. Okay. We've got about 10 seconds left here, and let's take a look at our current orbit. Yeah, this is pretty close to right. We've got about 5 seconds of burn time left. 3, 2, 1, and mark. Yeah, this'll do. This is good enough. So from here, we're interested in heading out to Jool. And the question is, what kind of maneuver are we going to need? This timing is not going to be right. But let's see what this is going to take. Okay, 1049. That's not too bad. So we can bring this out over this direction, pushing it down to be about here or so. That gets us an encounter. Is it a good encounter? It's a decent encounter. Let's see about pulling back on this a bit. Okay, that's no encounter at all. Noted. That actually got a little bit of radial in there, which wasn't what was wanted necessarily. This will be fine as far as an encounter goes, to be honest. We're just going to need to circularize at this periapsis, change our inclination to pull, and then transfer on over to pull. That won't be a big deal, and that should be absolutely fine. Okay, let's align to that position, and we should turn significantly faster at this point. Oh yeah, that is turning a lot faster. It's not as fast as it possibly could be, but it is turning a lot faster. So this RS-80 800 here, is that actually pulling fuel? I want to double check that. So Resource Manager, the Methalox here, we're looking for the RS-80 800. Yes, we are getting fuel flow out of that through the reaction wheel. Okay, that sounds good. So we are basically aligned here at this point for this burn. And this is, of course, going to be our burn out to Jool. Cool. Let's check in on this RTG here. Yeah, we can see, is it actually decaying over its lifetime, or is it just going to stop working after another, like, 21 years? We'll find out. For now, let's warp forward about a year. Okay. So the generator output is not going down over time. It must just stop working after like 21 years. Noted. Or maybe it starts going down quickly once you get towards the end of it or something. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Oh, this is apparently going to be a very long warp. Noted. Longer than the year that it said it was going to be. It doesn't actually count the number of years. So, that's exciting. Okay, we're on our way in here. That was a couple-year warp. So, Jeb is fine with this, of course. Jeb is absolutely A-okay with it. And I want to check in on that RTG. Yeah, still 0.75. Noted. Okay, so we're going to warp forward that extra couple of hours. Fantastic. We've got about 2 more minutes to warp, and we'll definitely do that. Okay. Cool. So a couple more seconds on this burn here. This is going to be about a 6.5 minute burn. That is fine. We've got 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, let's warp through this burn a bit. This is going to be a fairly lengthy one, so we can absolutely warp this. And we're just looking to have a reasonable encounter with Jool here. That's the only thing that we're really interested in right now. So let's come on in over here. And we're just going to keep an eye on that apoapsis. So from this angle, we can see the apoapsis moving, and it's kind of an awkward angle to judge how much further we have to go, but we're about halfway through this burn. And then, of course, we're going to be hopping over to this Jool periapsis and doing a braking burn here. But we should be through the majority of our high DV maneuvers at this point. I mean, going back to Kerbal is going to be pretty high DV. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to slingshot around Jool. That will, I think, be dependent on the directionality of our orbit around Pole. No, it's not. It's not reliant on that. Never mind. Okay, we'll just have to experiment with it. So we've got about 10 seconds left here. 3, 2, 1, and stop. Stop. Okay, so we overshot this by a pretty wide margin, and the reason, and we need to just keep burning here for now, the reason why we overshot this on such a wide margin was because when I warped down, it doesn't warp down instantly. It lerps through it, and so you can't actually change your throttle while you're warping. And that's why that happened there. So I just stopped the warp too late is essentially what that means. So we want to go around to the Jool periapsis here, but this is going to be kind of awkward. Let's just manually warp it for right now. Okay, so this is currently 10,000x time, and we're barely moving. We're going to take it up to 100x, or 100,000x. Okay, now 1,000,000x time. This is basically the maximum warp here, and it's going to be a fairly long coast stage out to Jool. We knew this would be the case. The question is, how much RTG time will we have left when we're out here? I think we'll have enough. Yeah, this is about 2 years out, so we should have plenty of RTG time. Cool. So in we come here. We should spend a fair amount of time in the Jool system. So we're just making our way on in. Okay. Taking us back down to 1x. We can now see much better what we've got going on over here. I'm going to time warp to this point. There we go. And that's going to put us right before our encounter with Jool. I do wish that it was easier to do a preemptive orbital maneuver here and just warp to that maneuver the way you could in KSP1. You can technically do that, but it works in a really janky way. Okay, so we're going to be entering the Julian system in about 3 hours. Yeah, let's continue to warp here. Cool. Bringing it back up, and we're now in Jool. Excellent. So we're at 1x time at this point, and we're just going to create a maneuver plan here. This is going to be a retrograde maneuver, and I want to... Hello? Maneuver? There we go. Maneuver? There we go. Okay, so this is going to be a retrograde maneuver, and we just want to circularize this. So that'll be fine, circularizing it up to about... overshooting it slightly. To about right here or so. This is good enough. Okay, so that's 549 meters per second for capture. That is not too bad. I like it. We're going to start to turn, and the question is, how are we doing on our panel exposure? Yeah, we can see our energy flow is not very good at this point, but as the mass of this goes further and further down, the amount of energy it takes to do these turns is dramatically reducing. So that looks solid. How are we doing on the RTG timer? We've got 14 years left. Okay, that should be absolutely fine. We're done with the extremely long warps at this point, in theory. So that should be fine. We're still going to have, like, the transfer to pole might be a reasonably long warp, but the extremely long warps should be done. Okay, so let's just get into position for this burn. This is going to be... What direction is the sun in? The sun is out over here. Okay, I want to turn us over this direction for purposes of solar panels. But I don't think we're going to have very much overall in terms of stellar exposure on our panels. So this was always a concern. This is why we decided to bring an RTG instead. That RTG lifetime on them kind of diminishes their utility, but it is realistic. That is actually how RTGs work. So we're going to have 117 days on this warp here. And then I expect the pull warp for the transfer there to be fairly similar. Okay, we're about 4 hours away. Where even is Jool? Can we even see it at this distance? Okay, yeah, there it is. Hi, Jool. You are looking very crescent-shaped right now. Excellent. So we're going to tick forward to this burn. That's about 2 minutes away. Gonna go a little faster, actually. Okay. So about 30 seconds. 20. 10. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, there we go. So we are now commencing our braking burn. Excellent. This will be about a 2-minute burn, and we are, of course, going to warp that. So a 2-minute burn here, bringing us into a circularized orbit around Jool. And then, of course, we're just going to dip down to pull, which is... Which one is pull again? That's Tylo. That's lathe. No, this is actually pull out over here. I'm pretty sure. Okay, coming out of the warp here. We can actually go a little faster here. We've got about 10 seconds left in it. 3, 2, 1, and mark. Okay. Again, we overshot it a little bit. That was due to the timer there, but that's fine. Or not due to the timer, due to the physics warp. So this is Tylo here, and this is lathe. But we need to go to pull. So this is our target. We actually have a mission on Tylo. That's intriguing. I didn't realize that. But for now, we can definitely run some research here. And we're going to have pull be our... We're retrograde? That's interesting. I didn't realize we were retrograde. I don't think that really matters, though, does it? Out of curiosity, can we do this without an inclination change? That's pretty close, actually. Hang on. That's really close there. And we could probably get there simply through a bit of inclination change and timing. Maybe a little bit of radial, actually. Radial would probably get us there, because we need to change when we arrive. We would want to arrive around here when this crossover happened, right? So about there, and give it a little bit of radial. Okay, well, we could also simply change our ascending descending node to be at minus 180. And that would be the inclination that we would need to be in. We're coming in retrograde here, which isn't necessarily ideal. But we can do something along the lines of this, which will put us in the correct inclination for pull. And then we can just transfer over. That's only 15 dV. That's in 177 days. And the question is, if we did that and brought this in, what would that look like? I mean, timing is a bit off. But what if we were to do something like this? That's really close. Okay, that is incredibly close. I can't really, from this angle, get the radial correct. So that's a little awkward. But I feel like there's definitely an encounter to be had here. We just need to change our setup a bit here. That is so, so close. How is that not an encounter? 1,161 kilometers. Okay, let's see about dialing that in a little bit. Yeah, radial is doing it for now. Hang on. How is this not an encounter? This is 32 kilometers from the target. That has to be an encounter, right? 32 kilometers from the target. Okay, well, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to try this burn. It's not telling us there's an encounter here, but there has to be one. There absolutely has to be an encounter here. We're 32 kilometers from the target. Maybe a game restart will get us there, hopefully. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kintogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.